There. Last week we talked about hospitality and how we can relate southern hospitality to the hospitality that Abraham showed when God and his two traveling companions showed up. So we're going to continue with that thought process a little bit today. And we're going to go back to Genesis 18:16 to the end. You don't have to turn there because I'm going to sum it up real quick to bring us up to speed to where we're going to go today. So, last week we talked about how God showed up. Abraham ran out, threw himself on the ground, humbled himself and says, "Let me serve you. You come in and I will give you some water to wash your feet. I will give you some bread to eat. And then you can continue on your way." But in fact, what he did was he went and he made a feast for these travelers, these total strangers. It wasn't until later that God revealed himself and said, "I'll be back next year." And as they got up to leave, Abraham got up and walked with them. Walking them to the end of the field or wherever they were, he walked so far with them, talking with them. And at one point, God stopped to talk with Abraham, and he says, "We are on our way to Sodom and Gomorrah. Because the cries for all the sin that's happening there have reached me, and I am going to destroy these two towns. Because I can't take the sin anymore." Where Abraham begins to plead with him. So, wait a minute, you're telling me that you're going to destroy these two towns, even if there are righteous people there, they're going to die too. Excuse me. Because Abraham was fearful. He had a nephew living in Sodom named Lot. And after some discussion with God, God says, "You know what? If I find at least 10 righteous people, I will not destroy the towns." And that's where we're going to pick up. Because God leaves Abraham, goes to join his companions who are already ahead of him. And that's where we're going to pick up, which is Genesis 19, chapter 4. Because the two companions that were traveling with God got there before he did. And when they got to the town, the first person to greet them was Lot. He saw them, he ran over and he threw himself down in the same fashion that his uncle did. And pleaded with them, "Come, stay with me tonight. Let me serve you. You guys can stay with me. I'll give you dinner, and I will let you have a place to lay your head for the evening. And then you can continue on your way in the morning." And they argued with him and says, No, we'll stay here. We'll stay in the town center. We don't need to come into the house." But he begged and he pleaded with them, and they came. And that's where we pick up. Verse 4. He made them this great meal. And they ate. But before they retired for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city and surrounded the house. They shouted out to Lot, "Where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them." I'm going to stop there for a second. You've got every man, young and old, standing outside a door demanding that you release two people that you just brought in as guests. Let that sink in for a second. Because they want to rape them. Young and old, standing outside the door. So, picking up in verse 6, Lot steps outside to talk to them, shutting the door behind him. "Please, my brothers," he begged, "don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have 2 virgin daughters. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them whatever you wish." But please leave these men alone, for they are my guests and under my protection." "Stand back," they shouted. "This fellow came into town as an outsider, and now he's acting like our judge. We'll treat you far worse than those other two men." And they lunged towards Lot, breaking down the door, or to break down the door. But the two angels reached out, pulled Lot into the house, and bolted the door. They then blinded all the men, young and old, in the town, who were trying to get inside. Meanwhile, the angels questioned Lot. Do you have any other relatives here in the city?" they asked. "Get them out of this place, your son-in-laws, sons, daughters, or anyone else, for we are about to destroy this city completely. The outcry against this place is so great, it has reached the Lord, and He has sent us to destroy it." So Lot rushed out to tell his daughter's fiancés, "Quick, get out of the city, the Lord is about to destroy it." But the young men thought he was joking. So we're going to stop there. Did anyone catch the other aspect of hospitality that we're getting into here? From that reading, did anyone catch that? With a crowd of men standing outside Lot's house, demanding that he release the two men that came in to stay with him. What did he do?
Got in trouble.
He protected them. He said, "No, they're under my protection. They're part of my house tonight. You cannot have them." Now, I know it sounded a little off to say that he offered up his two virgin daughters. That's something in our culture today that is frowned upon, but back then that was something of their culture. Women were not held as in high regard as they are today. It's a total different culture. So I can see all the faces. What? Offered up his own daughters? That was the way of their culture. The men were held at a higher standard than the women. Women were expendable. Nothing we could do about an ancient culture in the way they viewed people. Things have changed. At least here. There are some places in the world that still view women that way. But the act of protection, that's something we've lost in hospitality. Come up against a stranger in the middle of the street and maybe they're homeless or they're asking for food. We invite them into our home. There's a risk in that, right? Lot took a risk. He invited them into his house. He invited total strangers into his house and said, "Come on in, eat with me. Come on in, I'm going to give you a place to sleep tonight." And he just shared that he has children, young daughters. And he brings two strange men into the house. How many of us would do that today? Bring a total stranger into our house and say, "You're welcome to stay with me." And then feed them. And then when a mob of people show up at our door, go, "Whoa, hey, they're staying with me tonight." What you do with them after they leave here, they're staying protected with me tonight. How many of us will stand our ground? It's a hard question, isn't it? Because we fear for our families, right? We fear for what we might lose. But what might we gain from it? Because if you look back into the story here, because Lot protected them and stuck his neck out for them, they says, "Listen, this is what's going to happen tomorrow morning. We're going to destroy the town. We're telling you this so you can leave." And the next morning, I'm going to sum up the little bit of the story here. Next morning, they're getting ready. They're like, "Lot, you and your family have to go." And he's like, "Well, I'm waiting for this person. I'm waiting for this." "No, you need to go now." We promised you our protection, but God is getting impatient. You need to go. He's ready. You're not. So they grab him and his family and they drag him out of town. And they get out and they say, go to the mountains. He says, I can't go to the mountains. I'll die. I'll never make it. But there's a little town over here. Will you let us go there? The angel replied, I will let you go. But we cannot do anything until you get there. Please get there. So they take off and go to the town. And that's when God rained down fire. That's when he destroyed the cities. But because Lot stuck his neck out and protected them, they returned to favor. And they said, wait, Lord, let us get him out of here. He showed himself righteous. Let us get him out of here. Let us save him and his family. Because he did what no one else would do. He stood and protected us. Hospitality goes a lot farther than just giving a meal, than sharing something. I remember stories. I've been racking my brain on whether I had any of these stories from when I was a kid. But I hear stories all the time of parents protecting friends of their kids. Examples of like, kids are outside, they're playing baseball, kid knocks a ball through the window of the neighbor's house. And what do? They come running into the house, fly upstairs, lock the door, and they hide. And you get on the door, send them out here so I can take care of them. Mom opens the door, what's going on? They hit a ball through my window, you bring them out here so I can take care of it. Whoa. Hold on a second. I'll take care of this. Because mom steps in to protect not only her own child, but the child's friend. Granted, most of the time the kids don't get away with it because as soon as they leave, what happened? Did you hit the ball through the window? Yes. Okay. Hey, guess what? Our kids hit a ball through the window. I'll let you deal with yours. I'm going to deal with mine. And we end up replacing the window anyway, right? But she stepped in because the neighbor was more out for blood than retribution to the window. Because they were angry. Mom stepped in and saved the day, right? We can do that for children. We can do that for kids. But we can't do that for fellow adults, can we? We have a hard time with that. We have a hard time sticking our neck out for others. Maybe it's the way our society is. But our society is not much different than the society that is mentioned here. Yeah, we have a higher value for our women in society. But the actual crime rate and the possibility of danger is the same. The weapons have changed, the technology has changed, but the motive stays the same. We're all still vulnerable. Will you allow someone to enter your home and give them protection? How about our church? When someone walks through that door, do they feel safe? Do they feel comfortable being here? Think about that. Do they feel like it's a safe place for them to be? A lot of us who come and are here often are going, oh, it's a church. Yeah, it's a safe place to be. But someone that's not used to being in a church and have heard nothing but negativity about churches their entire life, do you think they feel welcome and safe when they walk through the doors? Are we hospitable to them? Do we make them feel safe? I walked into church as a visitor, sat down, looked over at someone, and they just went, he looked at me. I can't go over and say hi. That's not very welcoming. I didn't feel very safe or very comfortable in their church. I felt like an outcast. And I've been in churches where an entire Sunday school stood up, walked over to greet me and my family as we walked in the door. Hey, how you doing? It's so glad to meet you. What are you here for? Blah, blah, blah. And I was the visiting speaker that day, I think. Or no, we were visiting a friend's church. I was there a couple weeks later as a visiting speaker. But they just got up and they greeted us at the door. Welcome. And that can be overwhelming to a lot of people. But do we make them feel safe? Do we make them feel like they're home? I will admit, the first time I walked through these doors, it was a mixed feeling. I was greeted by a couple. Others kind of over on this side looking at the door like, who just came in? And then they sat down. Granted, I walked in as we were starting service, so I wasn't expecting people to come rushing over or greeting me. I wasn't expecting that. Kind of would have threw me off a little bit if they did. Because wait, aren't we starting service? Because if I remember correctly, service had already started, and announcements were going and everything else. But it was a mixed feeling for me. I can't say it was bad or good, it was just mixed. But when we have visitors, when we meet people on the street, do we make them feel comfortable? I mean, Lot shows a lot of the same characteristics as Jesus Christ did. Think about it. Christ comes, sets foot on the earth that He created. He comes off of His throne to stand with us. Before we knew Him, He's a stranger to us. He knows who we are, but He's a stranger to us. And He says, I want you to come home to me. I want you to come and visit my house and stay, to live with me. He died for that. And now He stands in the doorway when it's our turn to go home. He stands in the doorway for those of us that believe. For God so loved the world that He sent His only Son to die for us. For those that believe, we'll get to go home. For those of us that believe, He stands in the doorway and says, Dad, they're with me. They're under my protection. So He stands in that doorway against the wrath of God saying, they're mine. They're with me. I've invited them home, and they came. How hospitable were we? Is this something that we need to work on? Whether it's our personal life, whether it's here in the church, is it something that we need to work on? Our hospitality. When's the last time you invited someone to visit us? Come and join us for service. When's the last time we had a visitor that we made feel welcome? I know we have visitors, they come quite often, love seeing new faces on Sunday morning. But when they come, do we all make them feel welcome? I'm not saying rush the door. That'll chase someone out. New people! kind of makes me think of a zombie movie. Brains, new people. But we should be making people feel welcome, feel comfortable. If they're hungry, let's find a way to feed them. If they need clothes, let's find a way to clothe them. But let's be hospitable. Let's be that mirror image that we're told to be. Let's quit being standoffish. And saying, well, they're over there. I'm over here. There's 15 feet between us. I can't go say hi. Oh, pastor got up to say something. I'm not going to get up. I can't interrupt him. If God's telling you to speak, get up and speak. We need to be more like Him. Continue to show our hospitality. Actually, come to think of it, a story just popped into my mind about a situation where protection was involved. And it's a little off story. It's not really protection, but cousin was in an accident. I think he was in a cast. Couldn't get up and down the steps. He ended up staying in our house for, 6 months? Him and his dog, they slept at our house for 6 months. We put a bed in the living room, and it was, you're here. Come stay with us. We got room for you. We'll help you out.
We taught him some things, too. That's not to say. It's in my house.
Yeah, there was a learning curve there. There was a language curve. But it's being hospitable, having ourselves open like that. Yes, we're always open for some sort of pain and suffering when we open our doors like that. There's always a risk involved. But as I've learned, one of my favorite sayings is, where's your faith? If God is telling us to be hospitable, to be like Him, and we're too afraid to open our door up for someone that we don't know, where is our faith? If we're too afraid to give to someone we don't know, because, well, what if they follow me home? What if they're a murdering psychopath that follows me home and goes after my kids because I did something nice for them? Where is your faith? Do you trust in God, who created everything, who has the power to give and take away, or you trust your own ability to protect yourself by staying away from that person? If God's telling us to move, and we say, well, I trust myself a little bit more, where's your faith? It's not very hospitable. It's not very loving. It's not very godlike. And it's definitely not in His image. So I ask again, when we come together here to worship, when we come and sit and worship together, are we a welcoming group? And this is going to sound awkward, I think, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I come to greet you, do you feel welcome? Do you feel comfortable? Now, change that question to yourself. When I greet someone, do I make someone feel comfortable and welcome? And I'm not saying that none of you do. I'm not saying that you all do. But some of us, when we greet people, our first response is to lay out our problems, our issues, before we say welcome. Because how are you doing? How are you doing today? Well, today's really bad. I had this, and this, and this, and that, and this. To me, that's like, okay, I don't even know you, and you're dumping everything on me. But my personality, okay, let's talk about that. For someone else, though, it could be overwhelming. You're like, I ain't never going back and talking to these people again. But we need to be open. We need to be honest with people. But we don't have to dump on them. We don't have to just spit out everything that's going on in our lives. Let's get to know them. Let's welcome them in as family. When you meet a stranger on the street, let's welcome them in. And I'm not saying in here on Sunday morning. Welcome them into our lives. When you see them again, try to remember their name. Try to remember where you've seen them or what's going on, and greet them again. Make them feel welcome around you. Make them want to be part of what you are, who you are. It's family. When I welcome someone into my house, and then everyone that's visited my house, I show you where the glasses are one time, I show you where the silverware is one time. From then on, you need to find it yourself because you're now part of the family. If you forget, go search.
He makes you do the dishes the first time they're there.
That's one of your things. But that's the way I was raised, is come on in, be part of the family. Because we love you. Yeah, you might get under my skin sometimes. How many of us have siblings? Our siblings get under our skin, right? My brother and I, we can go round and round over absolutely nothing. That's family. I don't welcome friends in, I welcome in family. Because I want them to all feel welcome in my house. That's the example that God wants. He wants everyone to feel welcome when they come home. He wants everyone to be welcome when He's there, which is all the time. So let's make everyone feel welcome. Be hospitable. Father, we come to you this morning. And we just ask that you open our hearts to others, that you know who we are, and show it to others. Father, if we have an issue in our heart, in our life, that we cannot serve others, I ask you to remove it. I ask you to call upon us and tell us, I need you to move here, and when we hear your voice, we move. Lord, we can be a confused people. We can be irritable, we can be cranky, we can be completely defiant. But Lord, I ask that we hear you, that we listen to what you have to say, and that we follow those directions to the left. Father, I ask this in the name of Jesus Christ.